What's up, guys? This is yours truly. This is Chaz C. Warmington, aka All That Chaz, aka Lucas Slayer. I do apologize. Yesterday, I was supposed to actually start my YouTube live for my Gloves On campaign, and my body was not cooperating. So I was on a crazy sleep schedule, still kind of on a backward sleep schedule. Probably after do this video, I'll probably end up falling asleep because my body is just in that mode right now where I just want to be tail backwards. But anyway, I hope everybody's having has had a great week and is having a good weekend thus far. Shout out to all of the birthdays here in May. If you have a birthday in May, happy birthday to you. Whether it was at the 2 days ago, day ago, later this month, happy birthday to you. Um, I wanted to talk to you guys today about mindset in the hearts, where the heart lies. And a lot of times we find out where our mindsets are and where our hearts really lie when we sorry guys, my rabbit is literally stop boy. Going over there. Is when we're going through crisis, when certain things happen in our lives. I actually have my timer set too for 25 minutes because I'm trying to keep my videos short instead of so long. So if y'all hear it beeping in the background, that's what it is. But I really want to. I think our we have been controlled and programmed like computers, our minds, for so long, for decades, and in our generation before us, a lot of the teachings and structures that we have grown under and developed under has not been on our own free will. Hi, Rich. How are you? Thanks for watching. But it has primarily been mostly based on what westernization has taught. But at the same time, it's a lot of things that they just did not teach you or teach certain communities, certain groups of people. And so now a lot of people have this Stockholm syndrome mentality. That's where their mindset is. And it's almost like beating a dead horse because you can't, no matter how much you try to convey, how much proof you show to certain people, their mind is so blinded. Their heart is so stuck and stelt on thinking a certain way, being a certain way, living a certain way, doing things a certain way, till anything that is opposite of that is wrong, even though it's right to them. Their mindset is wrong. And me understand that because I was in a mental and psychological um, and even spiritual bondage for so many years. But as we became older and I started seeing different things, and another thing that's very important, I keep trying to explain to people. I tell my son, I tell him, I say, you're young. I said, travel, go around different parts of the world because it does help you get a better perspective, and it also help you to not become um, molded to fit in this systematic teaching and psychological and mental programming of things. Uh, I'm so grateful that growing up, I had an opportunity to travel, um, and I always try to travel, not just to different states, because you can see a lot just going to different states within your own nation or different provinces, different regions, but also going to different countries. And when you see things and you get exposed to certain things and you see the culture and you see the beliefs and you see the traditions, you realize that a lot of them have been taught a certain way, and that's why they believe the way they do, and that's why a lot of times it can be so different from what you're used to or what you know, because it's about geographic areas, regions, and the teachings in those regions and in those areas. Well, we know in the USA, even in the Caribbean, in a lot of parts of Africa, the teachings have been a lot of westernizational teachings. And because it has been taught from generation to generation, it seems like it's perfectly normal. It's something that have been imposed and forced upon many people. And let me tell you, it's not just, yeah, we get the worst end of it. Excuse me, my rabbit. We get the worst end of it. However, even with the mentality of people who are very adapted to and very protective and defensive of the westernization teachings, and that actually embraces the racism and the systematic division and imprisonment of these teachings, they also have a form of Stockholm syndrome themselves, because for them, it doesn't matter, even though they know morally it's wrong and they know humanity, is inhumane. It doesn't matter because it's so embedded, it's so programmed into the core of their existence and being, that anything outside of that is abnormal and is automatically going to be rejected. Because I'm going to tell you something, when you're not, when you have to change, or when a change is needed and necessary that you're not used to, that you're not comfortable with, that is completely foreign to you, it is extremely scary. It is very intimidating. It can strike your ego, will stroke your ego. It can, or it can build up your ego. It just depends on your outlook on it and how it affects you. Uh, for instance, even though it's raised in the South, and we saw and heard, well, we heard about a lot of racism, but me never personally experienced it until I moved to, when I was younger, my mom and my stepdad, we moved to a different part of Georgia, and that's when I experienced it, because in the area that I was in, it was predominantly melanin people. So I wasn't exposed to a whole vast of other race or nationality or group of people growing up as a little girl. But once I became in high school, once I became a teenager and went in high school and then moved to a different part of Georgia, man, it was like so for real. So, I just having that experience was just, I couldn't even grasp it, to be honest with you. It was just like, okay, you know how you read stuff in the history books, and you get the teaching and the watered down teaching of stuff, or the fabricated teachings of things. So, but it was just something deep inside of me that just knew it was something way more to this, because growing up, me remember being a little girl and knowing that my great grandmother, my grandfather's side of the family, my grandfather's side, my mom's dad, she didn't really speak English. Like when she spoke it, it was like a really a choppy, I kid you not, it sounded like an Asian person when they're speaking, learning English for the first time, and their words are extremely choppy. That's how she was, because she spoke Zulu. Now, I didn't know at the time that's what she was speaking. I didn't know that I never even knew what the language Zulu was. I was never taught my background. In other words, I was never taught my heritage, my roots. But me knew that it was something more to me, because it was just the way I did things, the way I talked. I remember being in grade school, And the teacher would tell my mom, she has a speech impediment. Why did she speak like that? She has a speech impediment issue because she's raised in the South. I know your mom and I know your family, because we all grew up in the same, mostly in the same community, like my cousins and stuff, and we grew and we went pretty much to the same schools as little children. And here me is this one that's speak what they say is with a dialect. They're like, why does she talk like that? Why does she speak like that? And we went to the speech therapist. I had to go to the speech therapist, and they put me in special ed because they said I had a speech impediment problem. Therefore, I couldn't comprehend, which was really crazy because I was always finishing all of my work before. I wasn't, and then I got skipped twice. But I'm just saying, like the mentality, the mindset of people, how they do things, and the way they think, their thinking process, and how they view things and see things is a lot about how they was raised and what they had been exposed to. Hey Wayne, how are you? Thanks for watching. And a lot of my teachers were melanin people. There was only two non-melanin teachers, Caucasian teachers, in the school when I was growing up in the grade school, that is. And they were there. They got paid more for coming to their area, to come to the little broke Negro area to teach. And they still do this today. Like to date, if a teacher wanted to teach in certain areas, the Bronx and project areas, and they're not of that nationality or group of people, they will sometimes offer them a severance package if the school is so out of order or so disorganized. But in that case, it wasn't that the school was so out of order and disorganized, but it was just the fact that that's a disorganized, unorganized, sorry. But it was just the fact that it was not a lot of teaching jobs available to the level that it is now. So it's kind of like, all right, I come from Sandy Springs, Georgia, and go to, this southern part of Georgia, Atlanta, and I would teach these little Negro children, and that was the mentality. And but my kindergarten teacher, I have to say, she wasn't discriminative like that. She didn't care about that. She didn't. She wasn't. She would try to do things in the community for us. They wouldn't let her do it. I don't know why, but for some reason they would not allow her to do stuff for us. The school district. So that says a lot. And the school district was full of us, but we know on the head, the governors and the mayors, the top-notch people, the senators and stuff, there wasn't nearly as many melanin people in those office and positions then that it is now. So a lot of things they would not allow teachers to do when they want to build up communities that was predominantly melanin. So anyway, but my fourth grade teacher, no, sorry, second grade teacher, she was a piece of work, Miss Thomas. That lady was a piece of work. My grandmother had to come down to the school and whip that lady up quite a few times. And when she learned then not to mess with Miss Jones' grandchildren, because my grandmother, she pretty much ran the town because she had her own catering company. She catered for the mayors. A lot of it did were things that most children experience. We didn't really experience it too much because my grandmother was very popular and very well known in the community. And so they knew not to mess with Miss Jones' children, because I remember this racist cop came from, I forgot what part of Georgia, some little hick town part of Georgia, and he came down and he started harassing one of my uncles. And even took him and put him in the back of the police car, took him to the station. When he arrived to the station and they saw him, as soon as the chief of police saw him, the chief snapped and fired the guy. You know, he the union was strong, but they had different regulations. But he lost his job because they knew not to mess with the Jones. You don't mess with us because we don't do anything wrong to people. My grandmother she was always a philanthropist person, always a very charitable person. Her and my mom both, we in my family, we always did things in the community. We went around, we cleaned people's yards and homes, and you know, for free, like just to help people, especially handicapped people, elderly people, people with disability and stuff. Like, and it wasn't just us, but there was other people in the community too. But what I'm saying is, the mindset that a lot of people have, and their hearts, their heart is 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 entrapped to how they have been taught and how they've been brought up for so long, and the lack of exposure to other cultures and to other things really cripples a lot of people. Um, I'm so blessed that my family is very diversified and that I would had the experience to travel, and I know a lot of people haven't had that opportunity, not for the fact that they couldn't stop, Mystic, not for the fact that they couldn't travel, but I don't, it's not something that has been taught to them, you know. Say for instance, like, even though we went to, you know, when I was back in there, yeah, I go to the clubs and stuff, but I did only club in Georgia. We'll go to Miami, we'll go to North Carolina, we'll go to North Carolina, we'll go to Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. We would travel and go out to clubs and stuff. We didn't just go to every club or just stick in Georgia. We was always going. So I got exposed to different peoples, different culture, and my most culture shock for me is when I went to California for the first time, and I didn't understand at that time why I was. It was like, with the heat index, it was like 105 degrees. It was so freaking hot, and I'm seeing people walking at the bus stop, and you know, they have on backpacks. Hey Tara, thanks for watching. Thanks. They had backpacks on their back, and then on their backs, and they had on these big thick jackets and coats tied around their waist, and it's like 105 degrees. Well, needless to say, when night hit about that 1 o'clock in the morning, it was freezing cold. I mean, like the temperature just dropped. I was like, I was freezing because I had on something. I had on a spaghetti strap dress. Well, it was kind of like a little jumpsuit, but I was exposed to different culture when I went out there. I never seen food trucks like that before. I mean, I seen them in, you know, when they would have the festivals at Piedmont Park here in Atlanta when I was a little girl growing up, the jazz festivals, which they still have them. So I knew about food trucks, but I never seen it to the extent that I saw it there. And I never had Mexican food until I went to California. I didn't even know about Mexican food till I moved to California. And well, visited California first before I moved there, because I visited first. I would go there. So someone I was dating drove a big rig, and that was one of his regular routes. So we would always go to Cali, and I really love the scenery. I love the oceans, and I love the water. You know, I love the mountains, and so you know, and the people. It was just like you see people, Chinese, Japanese, Africans, Nigerians. It didn't matter. Guatemalans, Brazilians. You see people of all different cultures, all different walks of life there. Jews, Hindus, Arabs, is Muslims, the uh, I can't believe it. I forgot the Amish, and I mean, like, you see stuff like this on a regular basis, and it's just how people can have their. It's like everybody have their own culture. They have their own tradition, but they all got along. It's not like it was the division that I had experienced when I was a teenager and we moved to this particular area of Georgia, and I started experiencing the racism because this school that at that time was predominantly white, and it's so amazing and funny how now it's predominantly melanin. But the principal of the school, of the high school, is a racist. It was a KKK clansman, and he was very proud of it. He had his flag on his truck, and he had his bumper stickers, and he flaunted it with no problem. The assistant principal of the school was also in the KKK. What I will say with the assistant principal, he didn't allow his personal views affect him from doing his job, being biased in his job. I had a school teacher, a science teacher. My mom has always had me and my sister in books. That's why we were blessed to be so much more advanced than a lot of the students are. So my mom always had encyclopedias for us, dictionaries. Those are books that we read. Yeah, we read, little children books at the time too. We had a little collection of the books that you order from Disney and stuff. We had those books, but my mom also had us in encyclopedias. We would sit there and we would study encyclopedias. My mom would pick out subjects and stuff for us. Like, we went to school and came home to school. I just put it that way. And so me, my sibling, my sister, we were always in books. And I had to do this science project about the body, and it was talking about the digestive and intestinal portion of your body. And I did it on something different. I did it. We had to do the graphic and draw the picture and all of that stuff. And I drew it. I'm very great, blessed to have the gift to draw real good. So I was able to draw really good, and I did it on a black paper with white chalk, and I had the white color pencils I'm in, and I had the colors, different colors and stuff, like of the intestines and the heart. I mean, the stomach. I meant the pancreas and all that. It was really nice. Well, when I turned in my report, though, the paper, the written portion of it, the science teacher just looked at it, and I just see him with this red Sharpie marker, and he just wrote a big old F on it. And I knew that it wasn't wrong, so I didn't understand it. And he takes it. He was a really snooty, sarcastic prick anyway. Nobody liked him. He was just one of those people who had such a chip on his shoulder. I'm surprised he didn't choke off of it. But he slammed the paper on my desk, and he's like, your drawing does not reflect your intelligence at all based on what you wrote in this report. He's like, what is all of this? What does this mean? Blah, blah, blah. And he gave me the bad grade because he couldn't find a lot of that information in his teacher's guide. So he gave me an F, and he was real nasty. And of course, he and I got into it. He went into the principal. He told the principal about it, and I told the assistant principal what had happened. And they sent me back to class, and they told him, because at that time they couldn't really just get too involved because they had other students that they were tending to. And needless to say, when we got back into the class, he just looked at me. He just kept, me mugging me like he was intimidating me, and it really wasn't intimidating me at all. I was actually laughing at him, and that he didn't like that. So finally, the principal was able to deal with the situation, called us to the office, and went to the office. I told the head principal what was going on because he didn't like to deal with melanin students, which he did not. I'm serious. If there was an issue, melanin students, he didn't deal with us. He sent us to the assistant principal. He didn't like to deal with anything with us. So I went to the assistant principal. I let the assistant principal know what happened. I showed him the paper, and I said, all of this information is true. I said, I got this information out of encyclopedia and out of geographics books. I said for the body and stuff. I said my mom have a whole collection that she bought for me and my sister, and so we have this information, and that's where I got my information from. I said he gave me an F because he couldn't find it in his teacher's guide, and that's the only reason he gave me an F. And so the assistant principal with the teacher and me, we went to the library and looked up the information that I had on my report and came to find out that I did everything correctly. It was just way out of the science teacher's scope. And the assistant principal told him that he was wrong for giving me an F, that there was nothing wrong with my report. I did my report well, and he should have given me an A+. He said, as a matter of fact, you should have given her a golden star. And that did not sit too well with this science teacher. So needless to say, when we got back to the classroom, he got real upset, and my desk was like I was in the front row, and his desk is like right there. And so he leans over onto his desk like this with short his arms. He's like, so you think your mom raised a smart-ass nigger, huh? I don't even remember what happened after that other than me flying up at my desk. Only thing that I remember is that when I was finally calmed down, there was like 8 people holding me down because I just snapped on them, and I didn't get suspended or anything. The teacher, he was gone for a few days, so that we had a substitute teacher, and so I experienced that, so I can understand people's mindsets. What in the world? Oh, I can understand some people's mindsets because they've been exposed to things and taught a certain way for so long that they feel like that's right, and they have such a great conviction of it. If they stray away from it, that they feel like they're betraying their ancestors, or they betraying their spiritual beliefs, or they betraying their religion, their parents, their great grandparents, and the legacy of their parents, their great grandparents. They feel like they betraying them. So a lot of times people just stay stuck, and then that's when they end up getting that Stockholm syndrome. So anytime something is opposite and opposes to what they have been brought up to believe, in the way they have been taught to believe and think and feel about things, they shy away from it. It scares them, and it also offends them very much. I think it offends them more than anything, because they're like looking at you like, how dare you? And I had to bring this up because as I'm keeping up with the situation that's going on, not because it's the coronavirus, but because of what's going on in the world. So people got to understand it's much deeper than this coronavirus. So you have to stay on top of things and stay in the know. But I just watch how a lot of people, as soon as they got their stimulus money, they just went shopping on the shopping spree. Nobody, they're spending all this money. I see all these women in the beauty supply store. They spending all this money when China has actually have an amendment stating that we are not allowed to come there, especially if we have had any contacts with any African people that we who are considered African Americans in the United States or Caribbean. If you're melanin, they don't want us to come to China. But I see all of these women up in these Chinese-owned stores buying up every beauty product and supply they could possibly get their hands on. And to know that we have been treated so badly. Hey, John, how are you, dear? Thanks for watching. And to know that, and not just know it, but you're seeing it. You are seeing that melanin people are being beaten in the street, thrown out of their homes, thrown out of college, thrown out of hospitals, not able to even receive medical care, and just treated like I mean, just treated so horrible and so inhumane. I mean, like it's completely dehumanizing. Yet they're in these Chinese-owned stores, making them rich. And now that the Chinese stores and Chinese-owned nail salons are open, they don't want to deal with the melanin people who do nails anymore. I mean, I'm not saying me personally, but I know there's a lot of melanin nail techs that are very great. I mean, like phenomenal, awesome. But they don't want to support them. They won't give them any of their business now that these Chinese-owned nail salon stores are open. And I just like that. It's like people become accustomed to abuse. It's like they complete desensitized to it. They become desensitized to it's like a person in an abusive relationship that is so used to being beaten and belittled and torn that their spirit has become broken. And I really believe that has happened with a lot of melanin people in general. Um, that a lot of our people's spirit has been broken and torn before they even knew who they were, before they even knew their identity, before they even had any idea or perception of what life is. They've already been broken. They've already been torn. They've already been washed away. Hey, Top Shata. How are you, dear? Thanks for watching. See you be driving that big old truck. You be safe out there on the roads. People crazy. You must be home now for the weekend. If so, that's good. But you got people. Their minds are so their where their spirit is so damaged. And whenever a person's spirit is so broken and so damaged, their mind cannot wrap around reality. It cannot be rational when it comes to certain things. They can be rational as far as like knowing to pay their bills, knowing to go to work, and knowing how to care for their children. But as far as like their overall livelihood, it's like, okay, I'm just going to take whatever they give me. This is what I have to deal with. This is what I have to take. I just put it to you this way. If you don't ever fight a bully back, if you don't stand up for yourself, especially consistently, it's only going to make the bully do worse to you. And that's what has happened. It's like when we fail to take stands on a continuous basis, not on an emotional basis, like Black Lives Matter, they've been silent for a long time until the young man, Mr. Ahmaud Arbery, was murdered in cold blood by two white guys, Gregory and Travis McMichaels. So called they self-deputizing this young man for no reason. This man was down the street jogging, minding his business, and they decided to come out their homes with loaded guns and ran down the street, chased him down to confront him, thinking, falsely accusing him of breaking into automobiles and doing thefts like that, but they're not approaching any of their white neighbors and with guns and running them down in the street and deputizing them. But it's like it should not take for something like that tragic to happen for us to take a stand or to want to come out and unify and to be together, to be oneness. And I don't understand why a lot of melanin people do not want to do business with each other. Yeah, granted, we have had a lot of negative experience, but I also understand how the system is set up as well. Where, say for instance, there may be some a beauty supply store, say it's two beauty supply stores. There's a melanin owned one, and it's not as big as the one that's right next to it. It's owned by a Chinese or a Korean. And the melanin people may not be able to afford or get the same discounts because they may not be able to order as much supplies and as much in volume as at one time as their competitor. So their competitor can offer better prices as opposed to them. what we do, because the system has been designed to suppress us, especially economically and financially. So a lot of us live from paycheck to paycheck. A lot of single mothers out here now, and fathers, are increasing. A lot of single fathers, our hood is increasing, but its majority is a lot of single mothers. So some of them have children in daycare. Some, have children in school. They have to save the money. So the melanin-owned business, beauty supply store, can have the exact same type of hair, but there's going to be probably about $5, $10 more, maybe even $20, $30 more over here than the competitors right next to them. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to go to the cheaper one. And the reason they're able to be cheaper is because we won't support our own people. And we see this all the time. And I have just made up in my mind, I've been doing this for several years now, where I really, honestly, intentionally seek out melanin-owned businesses to support them. If it's something that I have a need for, I try to support them. Even if it's more, as long as it's not predatory, because you do have some people, they just inflate the price way too much. Now, if you're going to be just straight up greedy, then I'm not going to support you. I find another melanin company, that sell the same or similar, and I support them. But if you're over inflating your prices, I can't support you. But we have to do better. And again, it's because of the mindset, the crippling of the mindset, because of how we have constantly been exposed and taught from generation to generation. But we can make a choice to do better. I know a lot of times I hear people who decide they want to live the street life, be gang bangers, drug dealers, live a life of crime. They say, well, this all I was exposed to, this all I saw. Well, to be honest, me saw a lot of it too. We have been in crossfire, bullets, like literally this close crossing fire in my face and over across my body between rival gang bangers, gang members. I've seen a teenage boy get gunned down, messing with some little fast girls. They knew that the girls had boyfriends, and they knew the boyfriends was crazy. They shouldn't have been messing with them. But because they want to be hard, the little boy ended up getting killed. A child killing a child over some punani. We have choices. My biological dad, whew, he was a piece of work. And this man tried to kill me and my mom twice. I could use that as an excuse to go out here and be reckless, be destructive, to be criminal. But I don't. Seeing young guys get gunned down, being in crossfires of gangbangers, being exposed to people get girls getting gang raped out in the public. Yeah, we have seen stuff like this with my own two eyes, like several times. Not just like, once in a lifetime thing. No, I was surrounded by that because at that time, the community, the neighborhood out in the community I grew up in, it was really bad like that. But as bad as it was, people still knew not to mess with us. So thankfully, I was blessed that we didn't get exposed to that in the street, where it affected my life directly. But may have seen stuff, and we could use that as an excuse to go out here and do all kind of hellish stuff. Um, my dad, the man that I know is my dad, that's who I call my dad. I saw him die in front of me. We can use that as an excuse to go out here and just be mad at the world and do all kind of crazy violent stuff. We choose our battles, and we choose the life that we want to live. We have our own mind, and we can make our own choices and decisions. Now we do know in certain areas, because when I used to visit California before I moved there were certain parts of Oakland that I actually saw where it was really bad. It was really, really bad. It was terrible. I seen cartels. I seen stuff. Just put it to you that way. Me seeing some things. And I know that sometimes, if depending on what community you live in, when it's so crime infested to the point where it's brutally violent, you're forced to do things that you don't want to do, because it's like if you don't, they're not going to make threats to do something to your family member. They will do it to your family member. You know. Oh, I remember a situation. This didn't happen in California. This happened somewhere else. I'm not going to even mention the state. And the reason I'm not going to mention the state, because these people are so callous and so evil and so vindictive. I'm not going to even give an idea of where these individuals are located, or was located, if they still in that region, in that area. But I mean, remember, this man, his daughter was on her phone texting, and she was talking mess about a boy in the neighborhood who is a gangbanger. His whole family, they're violent. I mean, on another level. The mother, the grandmother, the aunt, the uncles, the cousins, they are all extremely violent. And these are some very evil, wicked people. I don't even know how I even got associated with them. I'm just trying to figure it out. I must have really been going through something. But she was talking about him, and it got back to him. They beat this girl down in front of her dad's face, and he couldn't do nothing, because what the boy that she was talking about, he beat her down. The dad, of course, trying to intervene and protect his daughter, but because the gang members wouldn't allow him to get close and intervene, they dragged him all the way to the back, to the side of the building, and they beat him down while this boy was beating his daughter down. So we have seen stuff, and we can always use that as an excuse to go out here and do some crazy crap. Because I'm telling you, I don't care what nobody see. I'm not a religious person at all, but I do believe in a higher divine being, because we got here some kind of way. It didn't happen like that. No. And I know that my creator had angels watching over me my whole life, because there's no way, for the things that we have seen, it even shocks me a lot of time that we even have any type of sanity. Like, it shocks me. A lot of times I lay in my bed and I cry and cry. Because me see so much pain. Me have felt so much pain. And I see other people go through so much pain. And it's like, to know that me still here in spite of all of that, and how me didn't get strung out on drugs, me didn't end up becoming a prostitute, me didn't become a gangbanger, me not 6 feet under, me not in prison. I'm telling you, the style that I have been exposed to, I should not have no sense, no, not one iota of sanity at all. And this mindset that a lot of people have, that have been imposed upon them, it's really it can be depressing, because especially when people have been out of work for so long because of this pandemic, and you see people, they started investing the money, buying CDs from at the bank, buying stock. They're taking their money and they're spending it in businesses and companies that didn't even try to come to their communities to check on them, to do any kind of humanity work, and haven't done it in any community at all, worldwide. Haven't made a donation, haven't done anything, haven't had a food drive, haven't sent a food truck to nobody. They haven't done anything yet. You taking your stimulus checks and you're breaking your neck to spend your money in these companies. And I'm not talking about small businesses that are struggling. No, I'm talking about these major Fortune 100, 500, $1 billion industries, companies that haven't done anything for people. All the McDonald's that's in Georgia, not a single Mickey D's has gotten together, even though most of them are franchised, independently owned. None of them have come together to do anything for people in the communities. I think it was one that did it, though. It was a lady, and then it was a lady who owns, I think she owns a Zaxby's. Hey, what store is she? I think she owns a Zaxby's, but she fed people. But a lot of these companies that people breaking their necks going to spend their stimulus check in, these folks haven't done not one single thing. They don't give a damn. They didn't even care if you lived or died. They didn't care if your baby was fed, if your baby had formula, diapers. They didn't care if you had food, if you had shelter. They didn't care. And people are breaking their necks, spending their whole stimulus check on these companies instead of taking that money and investing it, because of the mindset and where their heart is at. So that's where they go to. That's what drives them. That's what controls them. And it's really sad, because going through such a difficult situation in life, having this pandemic, it seemed like it would make people want to prioritize, to be more responsible, to become more responsible, to become wiser, to become more careful about how they spend their money and where they spend their money at. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy your life. Enjoy your life, yes. But when you have children and you're out here to spending money and you don't even own your house, and I'm going to tell you something. Like this lady said, this realtor said, it's a difference between owning a mortgage and owning a house. And it is. It's two totally different things. When you get the keys to a house and they be like, oh, you're officially a homeowner. You know what? No, you're not. Until you get the deed to that house in your hand. It's signed, it's notarized, and it's yours. You own the mortgage, because you still got to pay for it. You think it's not your, you think you own that house? Get behind on your mortgage. Get too behind on your mortgage. You go find out who really owns the house, the bank. Not you, baby. No. A lot of them don't even have a car title. That's the easiest thing to do. You can easily get a car title. Go buy a $500, $1,000 car. You get a car title. They don't even own that. They don't have nothing. Then you got the people. You're renting where you at, or you bunking with people or you couch surfing, but you're spending your stimulus check instead of investing it. Priorities, the mindset, where the heart is. And a lot of people now, they know better. Hey, Iffy, Mr. Incognito, won't post your dang on picture. You want to follow the program, man. Got to follow the program. But, you got people, they we make our choices because there wasn't taught about investments. I wasn't taught about stocks and bonds. I wasn't taught a lot of things. But I believe the fact that I was blessed to have exposure to other cultures, other countries, other nations, other groups of people, working in corporate America, it helped me a lot. And me learned a lot of things. And I'm going to be honest with you, I got a job that I was not qualified for at all. They were like, oh, you got to have 4-year bachelor's degree and stuff. I didn't even have an associate's degree. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have my GED at the time, but I was working those jobs. And you know why? Because I had the knowledge. And a lot of times they don't even do background checks anyway. But if you have the knowledge, they'll be willing to give you opportunity. I don't know about even nowadays. Remember this teenager, the 14-year-old boy who pretended to be a doctor. He had patients and everything. They didn't even check this man's credentials out or anything. I don't even blame him because they were stupid enough to let him do it. They should have checked his credentials. They didn't check his credentials or anything. 14 years old. Pretending to be a doctor. Had patients and everything. Working in the hospital. But, whew, we got a lot of work to do, people. We got a lot of work to do. And that scares a lot of people because we have been too complacent, and all of this stuff that has built up, all of this garbage that the government has imposed and forced upon us has been because we have been negligent. We have been complacent. We have made excuses. We have not fought. We have not been consistent. And now we're here. So, let's get it together. And we say we because we all need improvement in some area. We all need to grow. We all need to develop. We all have room to improve and grow. And I don't know what it's going to take for some people to just wake the hell up. I don't know what it's going to take. But we see the heart and the mindsets of people, especially our leaders of our nations, of our local governments, our city, our county governments. We're seeing how they really feel about us. So, the choice is up to us, though. We don't have to be a victim. We don't have to be a casualty either. So, thanks for watching and for listening to me rant. But I hope you all have a great weekend. And my buddy John, I want you to get well, darling. We need you to get well, Mr. Irby. Need you to get well. You're making progress, especially after that horrific car accident. I'm glad you're still here and you survived it. You know, that's a blessing. So we got to do better, people. We got to get it together. But God bless, one love, peace. I really appreciate you all watching. Make sure you watch my visit my website www.zheennllc.com. I have my community activist work on there, my advocacy work that I do on there, my designing company on there. I just put it all in one place instead of going to all these different multiple social medias. I just try to put it in one place so it'd be easy and accessible, more accessible for those who want to support me and follow me. Also, I have a petition. I would love for you all to sign on change.org for chronic illnesses, chronic diseases, illnesses, and disabilities support act. If you want to make a donation, please do not make a donation on change.org, because what I found out that they do is they take the donation and they apply it to promoting my petition. So I can't even use it to make things like I make pillows and stuff like that. I like to take them to the hospital, the throws, something really simple, or a nice throw and pillow set or something. I like to make them and take them to the hospital for people who are battling chronic illnesses and diseases. But I can't do that when they take the money people donate through change.org, because they don't give it to me. I always show it to you. I can prove it to you. I always show you. They don't send it to me. So if you want to make a donation through the website, my website, www.zheennllc.com. And thanks to all of those who have already made donations. I really appreciate it. Miss Vicky, lady, I think her name is Marcella. She made a $25 donation. Miss Vicky made a $10 donation. A young man, I don't know, I can't remember his name, but he made a donation as well. So I really appreciate everybody who is reaching out and who is making donations, and I like to acknowledge it, because you got I know there's a lot of people that don't give people credit, and I'm not like that. I like to give people credit, and for those who has followed me consistently, y'all know that when I get donations, I always do I post where I spend my monies, and I always be realistic about the money. I always be realistic, because part of promoting and running any kind of community activist work or advocacy work or cause, the administration portion of it has to exist. But what I honestly try to do is spend a lot of my own money on that part, so that I can actually just use the donations solely and primarily to helping somebody else, or towards the where it's not being spent on the operation portion of my advocacy work. So that's what I honestly try to do. Oh, I have two more people. Robbie Ivy. Thank you, Robbie. Debbie, Anthony, Joyce, Deidre, Deborah, Talia, Reds, Charmaine, Joanne, Nguyen, Annie, Samantha, Glenn, Angela, Kelly, Kamisha, Vicky, Tejma, Corey. So I have so many people that have been that have signed. I have 52 signatures. I need to get some more signatures, guys. I need to get to 100. So I really would like for you all to go and sign this petition for me. And again, if you want to make a donation, please make a donation through the website, not through here, because I don't get it, and so I can't use it towards it, towards the towards my cause, Glow Song campaign for the chronic diseases and illnesses and disabilities. So, dang, I'm trying to go back to where it shows where they made the donations. I don't know why I can't see that part. Dang. I don't know how I found it last time. I found it by accident. Actually, I didn't even know. I was looking for something under my account, and then I stumbled across it. I saw it. I was like, really? I said, let me see. And then I saw it. I was shocked. I was like, oh, I didn't even know people had made donations. So I didn't even get no alert or anything. They didn't give me no alert. They didn't give me nothing. I didn't know. I just happened to stumble across it. Go figure, right? But anyway, job bless, one love, peace. I'm gone for real this time. And thanks again. You guys enjoy your weekend. And again, happy birthday to all of the May babies. Job bless, one love, peace. Oh, I don't want to stop.